Hello everybody, welcome to another trip report video. Today we are reading a Salvia story because it is an endless rabbit hole. I mean, the sheer breadth of experiences that this cursed yet beautiful but terrifying yet it's something else and should probably be stayed away from by any sane person. Tonight we are reading one titled A Brand New Reality, uploaded to arrow.org on November 28th, 2025, by a user by the name of AFKATS, AFCats, I don't know. A Brand New Reality, first time on Salvia. After seeing a few videos on YouTube, yes, those ones that make people look like idiots most of the time, I came across a video that not only showed the individual tripping on Salvia, but continued to film after he came back, giving him an opportunity to explain where he had been. I've taken many different kinds of substances through my life, including LSD, mushrooms, peyote, MDMA, among other things, and psychedelics have always fascinated me. I've had profound spiritual experiences, silly, insane trips, and have gone through some difficult ones as well. I'm always curious as to other people's experiences on these substances. However, I knew next to nothing about Salvia other than it existed when I started to see these videos. I was unaware that it was an entheogen. So after looking at countless videos of young people being fucked with while tripping out on this stuff, and seeing one guy jump out of a 2-story window, I decided to investigate further. The internet is a wonderful thing when you become obsessed with investigating and researching. Long story short, I realized there were many advocates of this substance, and this is what appealed to me. I found an online site that had great consumer reviews and ordered 1 gram of Salvia 60x standardized extract. My reasoning, despite reading that anything over 20x was not recommended for first-time users, and sometimes declared to be a waste of money for anyone, was that the higher the extract, the more I would get out of the gram. That, and there happened to be a sale on the 60x. I was very careful to research dosages, and did not plan on smoking Salvia just to get fucked up. I wanted to use this as a tool to experience this Salvia space for myself. My fiancé was eager to try this as well. He had little to no experience with psychedelics, aside from a very mild but pleasurable experience in his teens with mushrooms. My research led me to the conclusion that 1 gram of 60x should have about 25 doses. And yesterday, it arrived. A friend/neighbor of mine was over when it came, and even though my fiancé and I had decided to sit for each other, we invited her to stay and watch if she wanted. Upon later discussion, we decided this was not the best idea, but not a tragic one. Both of us measured out small doses between a bong and a glass pipe. I ended up smoking 4 doses, my fiancé smoked 5. We both felt something. I observed the carpet resemble a stadium full of people, but I never lost sight of the fact that I was just staring at the carpet, which was interesting at best. One important note of how I felt. After smoking 2 doses in a row, as recommended by what I had researched, I noticed my heart was racing and I could hear the blood pumping in my head. I didn't know if this was due to my excitement/nervousness at trying something new, or if it was an effect of the salvia, or possibly from trying to hold in the smoke for 20 to 30 seconds. I immediately got a headache. All of these things made me very hesitant to smoke again, and I waited for quite some time before taking 2 more doses. Again, not much happened, and it was all over with in about 5 minutes. My friend went home, and we decided to watch some TV and discuss what had happened. Decided we would try it again in a few hours, increasing the dosages this time. I had 2 beers, but was not intoxicated by these by the time we decided to try the salvia again. Unlike the first time, where we had kept things quiet and subdued, with the lights on and daylight outside, this time I found a particular video on YouTube with wonderful imagery set to low-key techno music that was actually made with salvia in mind. I relaxed on the couch with my fiancé next to me, ready to take the bong and light it from me once I was done with it. This time, I packed the bong about half full, which was significantly more than the pea-sized doses we had measured out before. I kept the flame on the salvia until it had all burned to ash, and held it in for approximately 10 to 15 seconds, simply because I couldn't hold my breath any longer than that. I exhaled, looking at the brightly colored Buddha on the computer screen, heard the music, and left this world completely. Of course, this is where things become very difficult to describe. I had been transported immediately to a world I did not recognize, with completely different laws of physics. During the earlier session, I had been constantly aware that I was in my living room with my friend and fiancé, just feeling a bit odd. This time, however, I completely left that reality behind and was put into this new one. I was immediately and completely convinced that this was my new reality. I completely forgot about smoking salvia or being on any substance. Or maybe it was just irrelevant and every bit of my mind had to be used to perceive what was relevant. The vision I saw consisted of bright colors, beautiful daylight. This new reality was swirling with an epicenter and curved lines coming from it, dissecting this world into segments or slices. Each slice was a part of reality, the idea being that the trees were a slice, the houses were a slice, the green grass was a slice, the sky was a slice, etc. And most importantly, I was a slice. I was simultaneously observing this and was a part of it. I was completely confused and in awe. The other distinct feeling I had was that this reality's atmosphere was not made of oxygen like I was used to. Breathing was difficult, and I started to feel panicky about how I was going to breathe here. This is when I felt the presence beside me, to my right. It was strongly female, and I did not really see her, but felt her and knew she was there. She was wearing a long flowing robe, although how I knew this I can't say. There was a strong mother/sister feeling involved with her. She was very caring and loving, but stern and insistent with the things she was trying to convey to me. She had her arms around me, and I was almost wrapped in her robes, the feeling being like what an infant must feel when swaddled. Secure yet confined, but still able to move around without getting away. This female figure began to communicate with me through understanding, telepathy, but not really through words. She was saying that everything would be fine, but that I must embrace and realize that this is my new reality now. There was no going back, and I just had to accept that. I would live in this neighborhood. That was the exact word she was showing me. And I would have to learn to breathe in this new dimension, but it was possible and would just take time to get used to. I was indeed a bit frightened, but that was not the primary emotion I was feeling. I was in awe and struggling to accept this new reality. I knew I was going to be okay, even if it was all so overwhelming and slightly frightening. That's when I just started to observe this swirling reality that was to be my new neighborhood, my new home. Instead of trying to resist it, I was just trying to embrace it mentally and physically. And then these slices of reality started to change. A slice became the pattern on my blanket, a slice became the Chinese cabinet in my living room, a slice became a painting on the wall, a slice became my fiancé. All this was swirling just like in the other dimension, but I started to recognize things. It registers that my fiancé is calmly saying again and again that I had smoked salvia and everything was fine, and I started to remember the situation. It seemed that a minute needed to pass before I was capable of talking about what I had experienced. Once I could, I was laughing and happy and trying my best to describe what I'd seen and where I'd been. I was amazed. About 3.5 minutes had passed. It took another 10 or so for me to feel like I was completely able to walk around normally, but I was fine. What my fiancé told me about what happened while I was gone was this. I exhaled the smoke, turned to my right and looked at him, and said, "Please don't rape me." I have no idea why I said this. I had no feeling or recollection of being raped or anything like that. I can't even seem to put it into context of what I felt. I will continue to ponder this. After I said this, and he assured me that everything was fine and that I was on salvia, I wrapped my arms around his waist and basically tried to climb on his lap and put my head against his chest. This is where I stayed, every now and then muttering things like, "What is happening to me?" And mostly I was quiet until I started to come back. He said I had tried to get up once, but he just held on and kept telling me everything was going to be alright and that I was on salvia. None of this I remember, of course, but I've got to say, he had to be the best sitter possible. I had an excellent experience. I don't feel like I experienced anything bad, just challenging at times. In fact, I believe that what I experienced was amazing. I will definitely smoke salvia again, but with respect, as I did the first time. I would recommend the usual advice of always having a sitter present, be in a comfortable setting, and go in with a positive mindset. I don't believe this is for everyone, however. I do not believe that getting 60x was necessary, but I also think that we did a good job of not smoking too much, so I am satisfied on that account. The other thing I would emphasize is that having my friend over earlier was probably an element of why I had that feeling of foreboding, and I'm glad it was just me and one other person when I had my breakthrough. This is not to be experienced with an audience. Unlike a lot of others that reported that music was distracting and not a good idea, I feel that the music definitely enhanced my experience. I would be careful on what kind of music is chosen, however. I am so very happy and thankful regarding this experience, and it has given me many things to think about and figure out. As I said earlier, the breadth of experiences you can have on this substance. I mean, I've never quite read one like that. I mean, oftentimes there are these running themes that you have between different people's trips. Like, there are tropes, for sure, such as the feeling of going to a new reality and having to accept that that is the reality you're in. Difficulty breathing? Rather, the feeling that you're having difficulty breathing. I have had that, where time has dilated to the point that, like, I had to wait to be able to breathe, because I wanted to breathe, because in my mind, enough time had passed since my last breath that I wanted to breathe again, but in reality, not that much time had actually passed, so I was still, like, I was good in reality. I didn't need to breathe yet, but I was, like, starting to panic, because I was like, well, I want to breathe, bro! Let's get a move on, let's go! And, you know, I've also seen reports talking about different slices of reality. I knew someone who smoked it once and saw, like, just like a bunch of almost like screens or images of different realities or places laid out in front of them across a black void. In this particular case, the slices were organized by like concepts or like the type of object they were. No idea how to visualize this. Like, in a sense, a lot of it might not have even been visual. Salvia is not like other psychedelics. Like, it can be visual, but it's in a different way. It almost feels like pareidolia in a way. They mentioned that, like, their carpet, it felt like they were looking at a stadium full of people, but they were still seeing their carpet. I've had that happen where, like, I'm looking at something and I'm like, this feels like I'm looking at this different thing, but I can still technically see that it's still the original thing. It's kind of like when you look at a power outlet and it looks like a face, even though, like, you know it's not a face, it's a power outlet, but it looks like a face, kind of? Or, like, the concept of it looks like something that represents a face. I once had my chair, like, represent a driveway to me, and it like, looked more and more like a driveway as I became higher and higher on the Salvia. Fucking weird. Another trope is being, like, part of something. And I do find that very interesting that this person perceived themselves to be, like, a part of it. They weren't, like, a cog wheel or a tree or something in the reality. They just, like, I guess they were still them in a way. I don't know if they still felt their body completely, but they seem to have no preconception that they were separate from the world at all. They felt themselves as part of the whole. Which is something Salvia can, like, Salvia can demolish your preconceptions about how you relate to the world and the universe. That shit can, like, not will, but can, because you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates. But I have felt like I've been part of the mechanism, you know? Like, no free will, it's just like things happen because other things cause them to. Like, I felt like I've been on the ride, on the roller coaster, on, like, the gizmo, the McCanthy boink. And when you're part of the McCanthy boink and you're also riding it, you have no preconception that you have any free will. I made a video on this on my main channel, go check it out, I got like no views. It's called There Is No Free Will, and that's okay. But Salvia can indeed shatter your perception of free will. It can also shatter, apparently in this case, it seemed to have shattered this person's perception of themselves as being separate from the world they were in, at least the hallucinatory world they were in. I'm not sure if they carried that same feeling into the real world. It's almost like it shuts down a bunch of the parts of the brain that lie to you in order to give you a coherent sense of existence and a sense of agency. Like, the things that are kind of important for, living, even if they're not necessarily true. But that's my opinion of how reality works, and many people have different opinions, and I don't 100% sure know that I'm right. Just what feels most likely to me. Except for the free will thing. I know I am right about that. Go watch that fucking video if you don't believe me. Swear to God. But let's see, is there anything else I want to yap about? Any other excuses to yap I can think of? I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about Salvia some more in the future, so I will leave it at that for now. Oh wait, no, one other thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, this is not like other psychedelics in so many other ways. Like other psychedelics have like a holistic, centralized experience where it's like it's almost like your consciousness is getting more in tune with your subconsciousness sometimes. Salvia, however, it seemed like it can just fucking split you apart sometimes. I mean, this person was having that experience, and out in the real world, they were saying, "Please don't rape me." Like, what the fuck was that part of their brain experiencing? That the part that didn't get recorded to memory or was like on autopilot while their conscious perception was off in the new world? Like, what the hell was that about? Was there a part of them that experienced something that made them think they were gonna get like what happened? Did their consciousness get split and one part of them experienced that, or was that just like a dead, soulless part of their brain that just like said that for some reason? Like, what the hell happened there? No one will ever know. Nobody will ever know what the hell happened there. Unless we get really good at figuring out how the brain works and we recreate that sort of happening in the Salvia test. I don't know, man. That shit's complicated. Anyways, that's all I'll say. Good night, everyone. Goodbye. Have a good day and afternoon and evening and all of the other times as well. We will see you next time.